Welcome back to Cityscape. In this episode of Secret People, we will cover Aldous Huxley, a British writer and philosopher known for his dystopian predictions of the future. Technology has been a tremendous blessing for the human race as a whole. The benefits of science and engineering are so evident that the word progress is often equated with technical breakthroughs. Underneath the luxury and comfort technology provides us, however, lies a dark secret: the ever-growing potential for misuse as scientific techniques further develop. What happens when a society becomes so technically advanced and efficient that everything, literally every aspect of human life, is managed? What you have is a society of slaves ruled by a technical elite. This is exactly the world Aldous Huxley projects in his best-selling novel Brave New World, a book that has been nominated as one of the top greatest novels of all times. Is this work imaginative fancy, or is it the forecast of something that's already in the making? As always, let's start with a brief background. Aldous Leonard Huxley was born on July 26, 1894. He was born into the prominent Huxley family. He is the grandson of Thomas Huxley, the English biologist and anthropologist who is popularly known as Darwin's bulldog. His brother Julian and Andrew Huxley also became outstanding biologists. Aldous' early life was full of trials. His mother died when he was 14, and 3 years later, at the age of 17, he contracted an eye disease that left him practically blind for 2 years. He recovered his eyesight in 1913 and enrolled at Oxford University, where he studied English literature. In 1916, he volunteered for the British Army to fight in a Great War, but was rejected on health grounds, being half blind in one eye. This eye condition would not only bar him from the British Army, but also shattered his dreams of becoming a doctor. He instead turned to writing. Throughout his career, Aldous wrote nearly 50 books, ranging from novels to nonfiction. His most notable work is Brave New World, whose message and story will be the focus of this episode. In 1999, the Modern Library ranked Brave New World at number 5 on its list of best English novels of the 20th century. Despite this book's enormous success, Brave New World has frequently been banned. Here are a few examples of such instances. In 1932, the book was banned in Ireland for its language and for being anti-family and anti-religion. In 1967, the book was banned in India, with Huxley accused of being a pornographer. In 1965, a Maryland English teacher was fired for assigning Brave New World to students. In 1980, Brave New World was removed from classrooms in Miller, Missouri. Finally, many conspiracy theorists view Brave New World as the blueprint for a globalist agenda to unify the world into a superstate where individual free will is non-existent. So what is the message this book contains that has everyone in a fuss? We do not have the time to dive deeply into Huxley's masterpiece. However, I will give you a brief overview of the story and message.
Within the next generation, I believe that the world's rulers will discover that infant conditioning and narco-hypnosis are more efficient as instruments of government than clubs and prisons, and that the lust for power can be just as completely satisfied by suggesting people into loving their servitude as by flogging and kicking them into obedience.
Brave New World takes place in the year 2540. It depicts a world where, on its quest for social stability and peace, has completely removed the contrasting elements that make life dynamic and worth living. From cradle to grave, every individual is indoctrinated and managed by the state. Society is divided by an intellectual caste system, with the alphas being the smartest members, doing high-level intellectual work, while lower echelons, such as gammas, do the industrial work. Despite this rigid caste system, everyone in this society is happy, for they are conditioned to love their caste and not desire to become more. Competition is evil. There is no depression or suffering in this society. Everyone is kept happy through consumerism, promiscuous sex, and a drug called soma. There are no monogamous relationships, for that is individualistic. Neither does marriage or the family unit exist in this society. These elements are all individualistic, and a society of individuals is hard for world controllers to manage. There are, of course, people who live off this regimented grid. These nonconformists are labeled savages and are the object of ridicule for civilized people. If you haven't already noticed, Brave New World is a direct parallel of our society today. Many people think the book predicts the future, but I think we are already living this right now. I won't say more on the subject though. Instead, I recommend you read this culturally important book. Link is in the description.
What Orwell feared were those who would ban books. What Huxley feared was that there would be no reason to ban a book, for there would be no one who wanted to read one. Orwell feared those who would deprive us of information. Huxley feared those who would give us so much that we would be reduced to passivity and egoism. Orwell feared that the truth would become concealed from us. Huxley feared the truth would be drowned in a sea of irrelevance. Orwell feared that we would become a captive culture. Huxley feared we would become a trivial culture, preoccupied with some equivalent of the Freelies, the Orgy-Porgy, and the centrifugal Bumblepuppy. As Huxley remarked in Brave New World Revisited, the civil libertarians and rationalists who are ever on alert to oppose tyranny fail to take into account man's almost infinite appetite for distractions.
Since this is a location channel, one place you can check out is the Museum of Literature in Dublin, Ireland. The museum is a partnership between the National Library and University College Dublin to display the country's top literary works. Admission is $10, but it is totally worth it if you want to explore a rich culture. Those of you who want to visit the Museum of Literature should save this location on a Cityscape app. So why do I think Brave New World is important, especially in this day and age? It is important because I think people should get a different view of what fascism may look like. Many people think that tyranny comes in a form of a military boot, but that's not always true. Statism has many faces. Sometimes it's in a form of the Third Reich. Other times, it's in a form of collectivism. While George Orwell's 1984 did an excellent job at revealing to us the military form of dictatorship, Brave New World does a great job at showing us the collectivist form of the same thing. Be happy, consume, have sex, take drugs, but most importantly, conform. Many people complain that the US is a divided country, but this is precisely what makes us so great. America is a motley crew. We are a country of rogue individuals. The day we become a collective culture, we will lose that dynamism that made us so innovative. Like Thomas Jefferson said, "I rather dangerous freedom than peaceful slavery." Since the Third Reich is relatively recent, people are acutely vigilant to any sign of a fascist dictatorship. Their blind spot, however, is dictatorship from the collectivist left, a form that is perhaps more sinister due to its seemingly good intentions. Brave New World is precisely where we will end up if we continue down the collectivist path. Such a society might be peaceful internally, but hardly alive. So what is your role in all this? Simple. Be you. Don't conform to any ideology. Remain a misfit forever. See you next time.